of the Skeleton King, a noisy feast was underway. Shouting skeleton lords and ladies crammed around a ring of tables, all stuffing their bony faces with as much food as they could. Chicken bones, half-eaten legs of lamb, apples, oranges, melons and cheese, bread and puddles of wine littered the tables and floor. The Skeleton King sat on his throne. A jewel crown rested on his bony head. Silver and gold rings rattled on his fingers as he grabbed a chicken leg. He tore off a chunk of meat and chewed it. When he swallowed, it fell down into his empty chest, hit his ribs and plopped onto the floor. He grabbed a goblet of wine and took a swig. The wine splattered his bones and splashed onto the table.
Hungry!
So am I, shouted a skeleton lord. I could eat a horse, said a skeleton lady.
More food! This isn't a feast! The royal chef is trying to starve me!
Skeleton servants rushed in, struggling under the weight of a humongous cooked pig on a skewer. They placed it on the table in front of their monarch.
It's tiny! It won't last 5 minutes!
Nervous servants ran away to pass the message to the royal chef. The Skeleton King cut a slice of pork and tossed it into his mouth. Then he cut another and another. He sliced off the pig's nose and chewed on it and swallowed. It bounced off his ribs and hit the floor with a splat. The Skeleton King was bored. He considered calling for the new prisoner, the flower reader they caught stealing lilies from the royal pond. They could have sport with her. But she was a flower magician and they could be tricky, so it's probably best to keep her under lock and key until they were ready to eat her. The royal chef was working on a recipe at this very moment. Instead, he gazed around the hall looking for another distraction. He stopped looking when he saw a movement in the shadows. Slowly, a three-legged skeleton dog the size of a greyhound hobbled out of the shadows.
My most favourite of royal pets. My greatest hunting dog. Come to your loving master.
The skeleton lords and ladies sniggered. They knew what was about to happen. The Skeleton King held out a chicken leg and waggled it invitingly.
Look at this lovely snack.
The skeleton dog hobbled towards him. Just as it wagged its tail and opened its mouth to take the treat, the king lashed out with his foot, kicking it in its side. The poor dog skidded across the floor. The lords and ladies hooted with laughter and congratulated the king on the brilliance of his joke as they threw potatoes and bones at the dog. Flinching under the barrage, it hobbled away into the shadows and down a corridor. This city made him sad and lonely. He'd had enough. It was time to leave. Boom, boom, boom. Back in the high hall, the skeletons fell silent as drums and a deafening, rumbling noise rose from underground. Plates and goblets clattered and danced on the table. Skeleton jaws rattled and chattered. Something was coming, rising up through the ground beneath the city. A hole tore open at the centre of the tables as stone cracked and churned with soil. Skeleton ladies screamed and fainted. Skeleton lords drew their swords only to quickly sheathe them again when they saw who was emerging from the hole. It was the demon lord Karg. He sat on his throne of thorns, carried up into the room on a writhing column of flames and roots. His skin was molten lava, and his eyes were fire from the heart of a dark star. Great horns curved into the air. Fangs filled his mouth. The air around him throbbed with dark magic. Invisible drums beat out their rhythm. Boom, boom, boom. And then there was silence. The Skeleton King stepped forward and bowed as low as he could.
My Lord Karg, welcome to my hall.
Silence, world. Speak when you are spoken to.
Karg's voice rumbled like a landslide that was having a bad day.
Apologies, my lord. All I meant to...
Silence!
The demon lord Karg's shout was so loud that glasses exploded and tapestries were ripped from the walls. An absolute hush fell over the room.
Is the flag safe?
Yes, my lord. As safe as the safest thing you can imagine.
Where is it?
The Skeleton King pointed at the ceiling. High above the centre of the hall was a metal cage, attached to each wall by a thick chain. In the cage was a triangular flag decorated with an embroidered rune that throbbed with energy. A skeleton snake with big fangs wound in and out of the cage's bars.
My lord, it is safe. The skeletons have kept their oath to Cog all these long years.
He is coming, a young barbarian. He will try to take the flag. He must not succeed.
A boy? We have no fear of a boy.
The skeleton lords and ladies joined the king's laughter.
You fools!
The skeleton king shook fearfully and made a zipping gesture in front of his mouth.
Special. He has a destiny. I hate boys with a destiny. They always cause trouble for demons. Protect the flag at all costs. Remember, your powers are linked to its rune.
Card pointed at one of the skeleton lords and clicked his fingers. In an instant, the skeleton collapsed into a pile of bones.
Lose the flag and you are nothing but scattered bones. Do not fail me.
As he spoke these last words, the demon lord Card descended back into the churning ground and the land of roots and flames. Within seconds, the floor was as smooth as it ever had been. The skeleton king jumped to his feet.
Double the guard! Patrol the city! Unleash the dogs! Find this boy and bring him to me. We'll eat him for dinner with the flower eater.
The skeleton lords and ladies banged bony fists on the table and roared their approval. End of the chapter. Is that okay for you?
Yes.
Is that okay for you?
Yes.
End of the chapter.